Chapter 5, Episode 12, The Curse of the Medicine God. Professor, I have something important to tell you. On the second day of the new semester, Zoe appeared in the dean's office at Pharma with a report from the office. She looked pale and pale at the same time. Please listen calmly. Yes. What's wrong? You have a straight face. Falma and Ellen had just been working diligently to prepare materials for the lecture. Yesterday, I received an estimate for the cost of repairing the stage that was destroyed in the Jinjutsu match. The stage will be completely replaced, and a special Jinjutsu process will be applied, so the total cost is 33 million francs. Really? Is it really that expensive? Ellen's exclamation echoed through the professor's office. The furon is the currency unit of the St. Flurb's Empire. 1 furon is about 20 Japanese yen, which means that the estimated repair cost was 660 million yen. The repair cost was estimated to be 660 million yen. Oh, I see. I've done the stage. Falma plopped down on his desk, weak with a memory of the other day. What kind of divine art was used to cause the stage to be totally reupholstered? No. Did the professor's jutsu make that happen? Was it the other student? It's supposed to be specially treated so that it won't be damaged in the slightest. Zoe, who repeatedly tried to confirm the situation, seemed incredulous. She had been busy with paperwork and had not witnessed the confrontation between Pharma and Emmerich. Ellen patted Zoe on the shoulder, saying that her surprise was justified. She tapped him on the shoulder and said, "That's the kind of girl you are, Pharma. She looks so quiet, doesn't she? You're fooling me, Zoe. She's quite insane. It's not easy being a secretary." Ellen was trying to escape from reality. Can you say the same about others, Ellen? Ellen, who turns into a fruitcake when she sees Pear's face, is the only Pharma who didn't want to be told that. I'm not sure what to say. The most important thing to remember is that you can't just take a look at the pictures. At least she won't cause damage to the university as soon as she arrives like Pharma did. I should have suggested that they change the location and not destroy the stage in the middle of the game, but they didn't seem to hear me because they were shielded by the divination team. I don't care if it's a student or faculty divination match, it's against Pharma-kun. The stage will be broken in an impossible way, too. You have to be willing to buy an isolated island. Still, that's not an exaggeration. Ellen regretted her failure to read Emmerich and Pharma's actions yesterday. She was so busy fighting to keep the students from getting hurt that she couldn't control her divine arts. I had no choice but to destroy the stage. I wanted them to know how powerful it was and to avoid it. If they were to be hit head-on, they would have been injured. That's even worse. It should have been done in a place where it would not be a problem to destroy it. When Ellen trained with Pharma, she did it on an isolated island where she could disappear and made sure there were no ships passing around. I'm sorry, that was a bad move. I won't do it again. Zoe produced the ledger and made a rough estimate, making notes as she went. The research budget given to the professor's course is 100 million francs. The dean's discretionary budget is 80 million francs, and the carryover from last year is 50 million francs, so the research budget is 100 million francs. Therefore, it is a considerable expense if we pay for it with research funds. We have another 540 million francs in external donations. Wait a minute. External donations, haven't they increased? It used to be about 100 million francs. The Emperor's donation is 500 million. It was transferred to our account as of the other day. Pharma no longer wanted the donation from the imperial family, but they could not refuse it. If he was to be scandalized, he would have to go with Bruno to the palace to apologize to His Majesty. I have to go to thank His Majesty, he said. But I can't spend my research money or donation money on something like this. I want to leave even 1 franc for the students. I'll pay for the repairs out of my wallet. The other students who want to have a Jinjutsu match won't be able to use the stage for a while. Mainly, the Martial Arts Club and the Wand Art Research Club are in trouble. Ellen's math a gay. Ellen, an alumnus of the Imperial School of Pharmacy, knows a lot. I remember that we have club activities. What should I do? Tell the students they can use our riverbank property if they want to have club activities and matches? Pharma instructs Zoe. Ah, that's the vacant lot at number 4 of the de Medici's house. I'll let the office know that. I will also order the forms for the transfer of personal expenses. And last but not least, the president wants to see you. Zoe added with some difficulty. Zoe, why didn't you say that first? I know it's hard for you to say. Ellen looked as if her soul had been drained out of her. It was obvious that she was going to get angry. After telling Ellen and Zoe, who were trying to follow him, to wait for him in his room, Pharma went to the Chancellor's office by himself. You idiot! Bruno was indignant when he arrived at the Chancellor's office. I'm sorry. Pharma apologized flatly. Where in the world would a new professor incur a loss of 33 million francs on the first day of employment at the cheap provocation of a student? It's not very mature, or even sensible, from the very first day of employment. Bruno was about to say unprofessional, but then he recalled that his son was not a proficient. But Mr. President, he said, I heard that the other student was also bad. So I'll just say that this is part of the educational process. Bruno's secretary, who was surprised by his swordsmanship, quieted Bruno down. I'm not sure what the other party said to me. Did you have to go to the lengths of a Shinto match to get the students to do what you wanted? Bruno could see that Pharma's divine power would have been too much to contain in the outdoor arena. Worst of all, the spectators would have been harmed, and the other student would not have survived. As for the stage, it was destroyed by me and I will repair it at my own expense. Mr. Emmerich did not cause a scratch. Even if the cost of repairing the damage was to be split between the two parties, Emmerich would not be able to pursue his studies if he had to pay for the repairs. No matter how wealthy his family was, they would have to explain how they would pay for the huge repair costs. The next time he offers me a match, I should buy him a desert, a wasteland, or an isolated island, Pharma reflected. The outdoor arena is not strong enough, as it is designed for training and matches between students. Then look at this. Bruno handed him a sheaf of parchment. It's a transfer request. There were more than 20 transfer requests from all faculties. The most common were from the Faculty of Pharmacy, where Bruno was dean and taught traditional pharmacy, to the Faculty of Comprehensive Medicine and Pharmacy. In just one day, said Dr. Bruno, this is all we received. We basically don't allow transfers, but there are many people who want to study under you. On the contrary, there were those who requested to transfer from the Department of Comprehensive Medicine and Pharmacy to another department. Read the reasons for their applications. For Pharma, this was completely unexpected. The comments of those who wanted to transfer to the Department of Comprehensive Medicine and Pharmacy were, I would like to study under a wonderful diviner and a great sage. I was impressed by his guidance. I would like to study innovative pharmacy under a professor who deals with never-before-seen divine arts. In contrast to the comments such as, I want to study innovative pharmacy that I have never seen before, the comments of those who wish to transfer from the Faculty of Comprehensive Medicine and Pharmacy are as follows. I don't think I will be able to keep up with Professor Pharma's classes on the divine arts. When Professor Pharma beat Emmerich, I was afraid that this was his educational policy. I don't think I will be able to concentrate in class if I think of what will happen if I offend the professor. There is one person who wants to drop out. I still thought that I would not be recognized as a pharmacist unless I could use the divine arts. I am not confident that I can graduate. Pharma could not find the words to reply. Was it a private punishment or an education that he had that fight with Emmerich Bauer? The other party wasn't injured, and even though he was holding back, your power to use all your attributes is overwhelming. You don't intend to do anything like a scare tactic, do you? Bruno took in Pharma's intentions and said that he regretted the misunderstanding that had arisen among many students. I cannot use the divine arts of all attributes, it's like a magic trick. Hearing Pharma's argument, Bruno nodded as if troubled. Even if you could perform magic tricks and such with the divine arts and medicines, a student who doesn't know your character would not think so. They would only think that you used some unknown magic trick to get in with and expose an inexperienced student. Bruno's words stung. I made a bad move, Pharma reflected furiously. All requests for transfer are rejected at the president's discretion. In the first place, we don't allow transfers after admission. Bruno had already signed his signature on a bundle of transfer requests, stating that he did not approve them. You are to interview all applicants for transfer or expulsion, restore their confidence, and restore them to their original status. As a material to convince those who wish to transfer to the Department of Pharma. They will also be allowed to observe lectures, experiments, and practical training in the department of their choice. Bruno and I discussed a compromise. A timetable that would be as flexible as possible so as not to conflict with the required lectures of other faculties. Are you squeezed tight? I'm parched. Ellen smiled dryly at the dried-out Pharma. The master's sermons are grueling, aren't they? I thought you were so dried up that you couldn't use water divination anymore. Ellen jokingly conveyed that she was encouraging Pharma. We need to convince the students who want to transfer. Pharma was busy that day interviewing individually those students who had shown up at the university. For those students who had been absent without permission, he went to each student's home and made a home visit. Ellen accompanied her on all visits, as the prospect of going alone would have alerted Pharma to the fact that she was going alone. By talking to the students first, Ellen was able to avoid the students and their parents becoming intimidated by Pharma and hardening their attitudes. Finally, the last one, Ellen said. Is this the right address? The two of us visited a boarding house on the outskirts of the capital. It was already getting dark. Thank you, Ellen, for making me stay with you after all, he said. I'm sorry I had to keep you company after all. I told you I had something to do today. What are you talking about? We work together, don't we? I'm sorry I had to accompany you today. I can't let you go alone, Pharma. Ellen, you're a good friend after all. Ellen, you're very good at keeping up with me, even though you're cleaning up after me. She may appear to be casual, but there is a casual kindness and thoughtfulness in her words and actions. Pharma thanked Ellen for sharing the same time with her. Oh, please take it back. The last prospective expulsion applicant, a commoner, was on the verge of complete trauma. Pharma and Ellen were not even allowed inside the students' lodgings and had to be persuaded through the door. Sorry to bother you at this time of night, but we need to talk to you. Please leave us. I don't go to the university anymore. I have nothing to do with it, so. The student's voice was muffled. The student's voice was muffled, indicating that he was in a state of extreme tension. I hope you will reconsider your decision to withdraw from the university. There is nothing wrong with this department, even if you can't use the divine arts. You are entering with excellent grades, and there is no reason why you can't keep up with your classes. I can't believe it. After all, the Imperial College of Medicine is a school for aristocrats, not a place for commoners to go. I was under the impression that it was a place where commoners could learn equally. But then I woke up. The student, who seemed to be slumped behind the door, was in tears. He said, those of us who can't use the divine arts can transfer to the physical arts class. And by the way, I will never point my wand at a student who can't use the divine arts, no matter what. Really? The door slowly opened with the sound of a bolt being unbolted. The door was slowly opened and the prospective transfers were settled where they belonged. The sun was shining and everyone had been persuaded. Thank you for today. I'll make it up to you somewhere else. Pharma was concerned about Ellen's exhaustion. I'm glad I remembered the faces of the students, she said. I'm glad that I could remember the faces of the students too. Ellen smiled at him, said something to him, mounted her white horse, and headed home. Education in a world with the divine arts is so difficult. I'm still a novice too. Pharma, too, was deeply impressed as he rode his horse along the night road. He had taken the job of a university professor a little too easily and naively. In his previous life, he had been a bit confident and proud of his pharmacy education, which had been well received year after year. However, this time the situation was a bit different from teaching students with the same level of academic ability and with modern values at a modern Japanese university. Not only are students evaluated based on their academic ability, but there are those who can use the divine arts and those who cannot, and the skill in the divine arts is directly related to the skill of the medical care that can be provided. Falma tries to treat and teach those with backgrounds that are not equal from the start as equals. I wonder if that was wrong, and I am troubled by such thoughts. After persuading the students to return to the house with the lights off, I quietly entered through the front door so as not to wake anyone, and found the couple's room lit up. "Welcome home, Pharma. You must be tired. Have you eaten?" Beatrice peeked out from inside. "Let's have a drink," Bruno invited. Bruno invited her. Tomorrow was a holiday, and Beatrice had just joined Bruno for an evening drink. Bruno and Beatrice drank wine, while Pharma sipped on grape juice and cheese snacks. "I feel like drinking and getting drunk," Pharma thinks. "But I wouldn't get drunk anyway. But I'm not going to get drunk even if I do. I didn't get drunk, and I didn't lose my memory." Have the students' misunderstandings been cleared up? Yes. Yes, they managed to come to the university. Dr. Eleanor went along with me. No matter how many accomplishments you have, it only takes a moment to lose your credibility. Especially for those who try something new, there is always suspicion and doubt around you. Bruno sips his wine. Beatrice listened in silence. "Did Emmerich Bauer come on to you?" Yes, well, I understand how he feels. After all, I am a child. I'm a child, after all," Farmer said self-deprecatingly. He said he didn't have time. "Next time I see him, I'll ask him about it in detail," which may have been one of his motivations. Maybe Emmerich was in a hurry, Farmer recalled. "Emmerich will hang on to you even if you don't ask him," Falma called. "I'll tell you so you can give him a better answer." Farma nodded her head, wondering what Bruno knew. "According to my research, he is of a historically famous and divinely cursed lineage." A beat after Bruno's words, Farma parrots them back. "Cursed, you say? It's a world where that's a thing. Oh, my God, please God bless him." Beatrice made a gesture as if she were praying to her guardian deity when she heard the curse. In the past, Falma would have laughed it off as absurd, but in this world, there is divination, there are curses, and there are evil spirits. So when people say there are curses, there is not enough material to deny them. Nevertheless, no evidence of his being cursed was produced by my appraisal and examination. Since Emmerich is already a medicine man, he would have the same opinion as I do. If I show the priest to break the curse, the Inquisition might be called. "Father, have you already looked into this?" Bruno, who uses a diagnostic technique with potions, would be able to distinguish whether the curse was caused by an evil spirit or a disease. Differential diagnosis of whether it is an evil spirit or a disease. Bruno added that this is the skill that a medicine man must be the most skilled at in this world. We must start with the true nature of the curse that haunts Emmerich's family. Bruno was ahead of the curve. Bruno had ordered Emmerich alone to submit his family tree up to 4 generations back, on the condition that he would take great care not to leak it because it was necessary for the admission process. If he is cursed, then bringing that curse to the university is the biggest risk of all. It was also Bruno's responsibility to find out what the curse was, Bruno said, as he was the one who had allowed Emmerich to enroll. Indeed, researching his family's genealogy was an essential task, even if he had to get it directly from Emmerich. Is Bauer a pseudonym? Farma groaned when he saw the family name on the family tree. His family did not even come from the Kingdom of Prozin, but had its origins in the great nobility of the Kingdom of Spain. The correct surname was Soleil, a common name in the Kingdom of Spain. "Yes," he said. "When I learned of his background, I allowed him to assume a false name. Emmerich hides his true surname to escape the curse placed on his family. It's A bitter pill to swallow. Pharma surmises Emmerich's anguish. It is believed that his family became so famous because of the curse that they could no longer stay in the Kingdom of Spain and fled to the Kingdom of Prozan. What is the curse like? I hear it is a terrible thing. It is said that no exorcism will work and that within a year he will slowly go mad day and night, his body convulsing and going insane until he finally runs out of strength and dies. He has already lost his father and most of his relatives to the curse. His family has fallen, but he has younger siblings. He wants to save himself and his siblings from the fate that awaits them. It is perfectly reasonable to assume that time is running out. The names in the family tree are usually marked with a temple symbol next to their names. The one with the symbol was the deceased, but it was an unusual symbol that Pharma had never seen before. Pharma's eyes widened. Is this mark different from the usual deaths? It is, said Pharma. Yes, it is a mark of a death caused by an evil spirit. It is different from ordinary deaths. Cursed deaths are so important to the temple that it is impossible to fake them. Emmerich would have preferred to keep it hidden, but he trusted me and disclosed it to me. My great-grandfather died of a curse, and 2 of my great-grandfather's 3 sisters died of curses out of 3. One of them was a commoner whose divine vein did not open, so she was thrown out, and she was removed from the family tree and unknown. My grandmother also died of a curse. Of my grandmother's 5 siblings, 4 were cursed to death. My father also died of a curse. 3 of my father's 4 siblings died of the curse. 1 survivor has the attribute of water god, positive attribute. And Emmerich has 5 sisters and brothers. Emmerich is the eldest. So 25-year-old Emmerich doesn't have much time. Is it a curse that activates when everyone is past their 40s? It's spectacular. Pharma thought painfully. The patron deities of the cursed dead were all medicine gods, positive water or positive wind attributes. All of the cursed dead had a medicine god as their guardian deity? Yes, they were. I checked old records and found that they were also said to be cursed by the medicine god. It pains me as someone with the same attribute to think how much prejudice his family was exposed to. 4 generations ago when I had it submitted, it was in this state, and even going back further, the same thing has been repeated, as the history books of the Kingdom of Spain say. My heart aches too. What has his family done? Opening parenthesis, what did his family do? It was even more so for Pharma, who wielded the staff of the god of medicine, used the divine and secret arts of the god of medicine, possessed 2 sacred crests, and was regarded by the temple as having a close relationship with the god of medicine or even the god of medicine himself. But it is strange, isn't it? Emmerich did not see any black shadows. Then he was not cursed. If he is possessed by an evil spirit, the evil spirit that possessed Emmerich could not come to Falma because of the sanctuary of Falma, as Solomon said. Even if it were a great evil spirit that did not fear the presence of Pharma, it would still be seen as a black shadow that overlaps Emmerich. The shadow could not be seen by Emmerich. Besides, he used powerful divine arts. I just hope that he was mistaken, because I think that those who are cursed can't use the divine arts. In Pharma's opinion, Bruno nodded and tasted more wine. Bruno seemed to share the same opinion. When he did not hear Beatrice's voice, he found that she had already fallen asleep on the sofa. And I don't think he thinks it's a curse, Pharma said emphatically. Emmerich could have run the same differential diagnosis as Bruno to determine whether it was a curse or a disease, and have found it negative. Or he could have used his own powerful divine arts and felt the blessing of the medicine god. If it was a genuine curse, the Yakujin wand comes into play. It is not that I do not have some confidence in the purification of curses. But Pharma shook his head as he looked at Emmerich's mugshot and said that was not the case. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here at the College of General Medicine and Pharmacy. He's a pharmacist, and he thinks it's a disease. If that's the case, even you, who met Emmerich in person, can't diagnose it. At first glance, I couldn't tell. Maybe I have overlooked something serious. I didn't understand it at first glance, Falma thought. When Pharma had the encounter with Emmerich, he had examined him with a diagnostic eye. At that time, he could not find anything wrong with him. At best, he had back pain. Pharma then came up with a hypothesis. My eyes can't diagnose a patient's disease before he gets sick. If the patient doesn't get sick, Pharma can't tell. The ability of Pharma is activated only when a person who must be cured occurs. So far, we have thought that it is possible to diagnose the patient without the onset of the disease, but it seems likely. I will need to see Emmerich and pursue this thoroughly. We must use every means at our disposal to hold on to his living time without preconceived ideas. We must use all the means at our disposal to connect him to his living time. Can you break the curse of the god of medicine on his family? Bruno's eyes narrowed in interest. Curse does not mean exactly what it sounds like. In his gaze, Pharma saw an unspoken message of trust in his son. I'll solve it. I promise. I am his instructor, Pharma replied with a little bit of bravado. Besides, whatever deity the medicine god said appeared before, whatever Emmerich's ancestors did to the medicine god in the past, I don't think he would curse humans for generations to come. It is nonsense to punish them for generations. There is no sin on the offspring. Oh, I want to believe that too. I hope the curse is a trick. Bruno nodded and closed his eyes. Unable to wrap his head around his groping, he thanked Bruno, borrowed the family tree, and returned to his own bedroom. Farmer looked at the family tree, stared at it, wrote something on a notepad, and thought of one possibility. Namely, this one. Isn't this a fatal autosomal dominant hereditary disease? Controlling his thoughts, Pharma slowly and excitedly put down his pen. And even if Pharma's diagnostic I cannot detect the curse in Emmerich's genes at this point, there may be a way to detect it before it happens, stop the ticking time bomb, and contain it forever. In that laboratory, where the other world and this world are connected.